Live on YouTube. Yes.
I said I got it.
I'm just gonna give it 1 second because it's still like
Whose
it's got
cat
like
is
the
like
Microsoft
rummaging
loading
around
bar.
back there?
It's episode 340, March 14th, 2022 on Canadian Patriot Podcast. This is John McDonald with Music and the Truth Until Dawn. Right now I've got a few words for some of our brothers and sisters in the occupied zone. The chair is against the wall. John has a long mustache. It's 8:30 Canadian, another day closer to victory, and for all of you out there on or behind the line, in post, I will edit in music.
And we'd love to hear your feedback about the show. So please visit CanadianPatriotPodcast.com/feedback or email us at feedback@CanadianPatriotPodcast.com. Feel free to tell us how you love and or hate our new time slot at 8:30. A version of the show is available at Stitcher and iTunes.
We need your help to support the Canadian Patriot Podcast. Visit patreon.com/CPP and become a Patreon and get a better quality version of the show for just $1 per episode. Show you're not a communist and buy a CPP t-shirt for just $24.99 plus shipping and theft. Visit CanadianPatriotPodcast.com homepage and follow the link on the right.
This brings us to my favorite and what may become our longest segment. What are we drinking?
Running for sure, yeah.
Well, big panel tonight. So what I'm going to propose is that we start with Liz because she's in the middle, and then we go clockwise after that.
Okay.
Like the Brady Bunch.
Marsha.
Look down, look sideways.
Well, if I look over here while Ian looks over there. But Liz, what are you drinking?
Yeah, I'm drinking tea with whiskey.
Okay.
Yeah, hot toddy.
I dig it.
Pretty much, yes. It's like a hot toddy.
Right. Ian, are you drinking?
Unfortunately, I have 5 weeks left at Daddy Uber duty before the little one gets her license. So I'm drinking water. The law requires me to say so.
It's very responsible of you. Benny, what are you drinking?
I'm drinking some honey red.
Okay.
PC
Pierre?
honey red.
Canadian whiskey and a bit of Pepsi.
A bit of Pepsi.
For color. Yeah.
Brian, what are you drinking?
Drinking some Coors Light tonight.
Dave?
Some good old fashioned Belgian Moon. Just one of my faves.
Do you also have an orange?
No, it's March. There's and you've seen the prices of oranges?
I have seen the prices of food generally, yes.
Yeah.
And guess what?
Ain't nobody got money for that.
It costs gas money to go get the oranges.
Yeah.
Precisely.
Precisely.
Florida's a long way away.
They should sell them at the beer store.
Gavin, what are you drinking?
I've got a couple of White Claw raspberries for this evening.
All right, then. Getting festive. Peter, what are you drinking?
Almost Coors Banquet. Coors Original.
It's not the same.
Oh.
I really want it to be, but it's just not the same.
It's not as tasty.
It's wet.
I have a quadruple IPA from Flying Monkeys. This is Space Age Sunshine.
Is it from
An
Japan?
orange creamsicle ale. It's 11.6%, and it's amazing.
The anime?
Does it
I don't
taste like creamsicle?
It tastes like an orange creamsicle. It is ridiculously good.
Let's see your headache tomorrow.
Does it really taste like an orange creamsicle? Like,
I mean, if I dunked an orange creamsicle in Coors Banquet, yeah.
I might need
Like
to try that then, because like
that's
orange
pretty sweet.
creamsicle is probably one of the most delicious flavors in the world.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's the
And when you
greatest
mix it with
invention of man.
alcohol, like those Bacardi Breezer orange things are deadly in the summertime.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Like I kind of want
Something,
to try a sip. Probably not a whole
Doesn't make
can.
it fun to chase ice cream, man.
Yeah.
It does. It is very good, and I kind of want the laser eye robot rabbit thing as a pet. can art is confusing, but I like it.
I
Yeah, I
mean,
thought you'd like that.
Have a few more, and the can art will probably make more sense.
Or talk to you.
hey, we're already heading down that dystopian future thing, and like they already have like the Fahrenheit 451 robot dog thing starting to pop up. So maybe the can art will eventually become reality.
Well, this is a courtesy of Brian beer, and it's very good. I think
Yeah, I
Brian
saw
was
the
just trying to
beer
pick the
store and I
weirdest
thought you would.
beers.
Yeah.
I do. I do. One of Flying Monkey's favorite beers is their Sparkle Puff, and this is like that, but with orange creamsicle. But that only helps if you've had your Sparkle Puff. Otherwise, you have no frame of reference, and you think I'm saying crazy made up nonsense.
Sounds
Like a child lost.
Marijuana names.
Well, let's
Not that I
do
would know.
Patriot Challenge reminder. Some people went for a hike, other people did not.
Have you seen the price of gas? I didn't come down. For
I
that shit.
was
That's
I was more casting dispersions on Benny, but that's fine. Pierre can take that personal like. Patriot Challenge. 5 things every day. Be a better person. Exercise, practice a skill, read a book, drink your water, and complete a task to improve your life. And if you want to get the template and share it on social media, grab that from our website.
And just a reminder, orange creamsicle and sparkle puff are not water, but they could
It's
be
true.
something that improves your life.
I mean, I'd have another. Upcoming events this weekend, March. I think it starts on the 17th.
Yeah, it's only at 7 to
Yeah.
10 p.m. Like it's just in the evening on Thursday.
Yeah, it's a weird. So the
Yeah.
Toronto Sportsman Show is this weekend, March 17th, kind of through Sunday. Dave and I will be manning the Ontario Rifle Association booth on Friday the 18th. And I plan to get well and truly inebriated at a bar after that if anyone would like to come and join us.
Also, may I add, there will be an unveiling of the new rifle. It's coming back from Sierra Coat. Come check it out. Could be cool.
Yeah. So if
Ooh,
you are going
fancy.
to the Sportsman Show and you want to hang out with cool people, Dave and I, Friday, ORA booth.
I got the shirt to prove it. Thanks, Pierre.
You had Pierre make you a shirt that says you're cool people?
He
Hey,
did
I
it.
had
I didn't have
I
to
had-
ask nothing.
I had nothing to do with that. That was all Mel.
So you're
And there was
unveiling a new- So I was
what's
gonna say,
that?
if you're unveiling a new rifle at the Sportsman Show, isn't that going to cause like a massive wave of liberal tears emanating outwards from downtown Toronto or something?
That's
We
the
can
hope.
hope.
But we're in Mississauga, so it's not quite downtown proper.
You're
that-
going to have to
is
make
the
make the lake
You're-
significantly bigger.
Yes.
It's kind of like the tri-state area though, in that it's the tri-city area because it straddles Mississauga, Brampton, and Toronto, so you can kind of like trigger all 3 of them in
Oh,
sort
yeah.
of radiating waves outwards. It's
Oh yeah.
Well, I don't care for that.
It's gonna be shiny.
So, listener meetup Friday night. If you want to come and drink beer,
Mm.
or if you want to buy Dave or I a beer, or I don't know,
Mm.
probably other people. We're going to be in Gavin's neck of the woods.
Could be a good time.
I think we're going to do another group ruck on April the 3rd. Check Strava on the Ragnarok group or on our Discord for details when we pick a place, and maybe we decide in advance what we're doing for lunch this time. Maybe we decide when it's time for lunch. We'll see. It's
I mean, we'll
like a
just go back
mystery.
to the same place. That place was amazing. That was some good schnitzel.
Well, if we want
I
to
don't
do
know.
a hike in
in-
Kitchener
in
again.
advance, I was like thinking wings the whole time. That's what I thought we were doing, and that's what we did.
I mean, so it really worked out. That's good. That's good. So April
Yeah.
the 3rd, I think we're planning another group get-together hike in the Southern Ontario, not quite butthole adjacent region.
yeah.
Indeed.
Isn't that the same
These-
weekend as that course, that other course, too?
Possibly.
Mm.
We'll have to
Well, we
check
could
on
always
that.
move it.
We'll figure it out.
I will put
Alright.
Gavin in charge of
Who
things.
doesn't want to pay money to get tied up?
Oh, it's that kind of course. Well, in that
Yes.
case.
Yes, Ace and Boris will be running another class with some of the same stuff that they did that I talked about before. The combative side of that will be a little bit different. I believe this one is going to be more groundwork rather than throwing knees. So
Great. So Gavin will get a whole different set of bruises.
yes, so we'll figure it all out. But yeah, there'll be a group ruck at some point in and around that time, and or some of the panelists may be getting paid to get tied up and beat up. Come join us for
Wait,
both.
am I getting paid or do I have to pay?
I was gonna say, I'm pretty sure that we have to pay to get tied
Yeah,
up.
yeah, we're paying, yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Because if it was getting
It's like I was
like,
getting
yeah, I might
confused
have
about the business model there because this
No,
is
no,
like a
we're-
whole.
Yeah.
Some people pay good money for that kind of service.
20
Yeah,
bucks,
and
20
we
bucks.
will be paying them for the service. Yeah.
Okay,
Also,
just checking.
Yeah.
As long as it's a safe word, that's all that matters.
Pineapple.
Pineapple. I still feel like adding the juice makes it needlessly long and convoluted, but fair enough.
Yeah, no, but you never saw that video.
Creamsicle.
What was it?
Yes,
it was
yes,
fake,
I've seen the
but-
video of the gentleman being bail bonded and running
Yeah.
around a parking lot.
Yeah.
But in any case, it's June 4th, Firearms Rights National Range Day. The CCFR is running an event. You should go to your gun club and have them run an event. Because I am not. So you should go to your gun club and you should do that.
Yeah.
TACOM, September 8th and 9th. I think that's also going to be the International Center this year.
I believe so. Yeah.
Dave is shaking his head because Dave and I will be cuddling in a barracks in Meaford because there's a PRS match that weekend. And Dave wants to win a medal and I want to watch Dave win a medal.
It's true.
Well,
It's just I'm just annoyed that they always do it on the same weekend. Wish they would just push it like literally one weekend. That's it. But
Whatever. I'd rather shoot
Yeah.
PRS than
absolutely.
look at things at gun stores that I already don't enjoy visiting. Canada Army Run got announced today. Email came out. So, virtual event again this year, September 9th through the 18th. You have a significant amount of time to do the Army Run.
Yeah.
If you want to do it with a team, which you don't have to do in person, but you could do it because it's a virtual event, search for Ragnarok, because that's the sports team that we're affiliated with for all of our sports endeavors.
Yeah.
Gavin is the team manager on that. Gavin's already got it all squared away. Options are 5K, 10K, half marathon, or there's a mix and match. Individually, the events are $50. If you get a 2-pack, they're $60, and they're on sale right now. Save $5 through the middle of April. So buy your tickets early and get your cool, probably not cool T-shirt. Get your race T-shirt or your race hat. And
don't
Come
go
in.
with the hat. The hat's super
Not
lame.
gonna
The
lie,
hat's-
going-
the hat's
shirt.
terrible, but I mean, like, let's be honest, the shirts are not good either.
Oh, really?
Yeah, but
They're
at
not
least,
for
like-
off the wall customizing. They're not that good.
At least there's some bragging rights in the shirt, though. The hat's just terrible. The medals
They
are
really
cool,
are.
though.
We did
Sometimes
do
you
the
get like 4 sets of them.
yeah, I have all of my medals from this year on my desk. I have so many medals because they sent me extras, I guess. I don't really I have so many medals.
One's a participation one.
So
Sure.
great.
They're
They're
all
they're
participation
participation
ones.
Yeah. um,
We got gold last year.
But the army in its infinite wisdom sent me like 4 sets.
yeah. Then there's
Remember, they
also
got to
the,
use it or they lose it.
Yeah. There's also the Resul 4-day march coming up too in May, 26
Shoot,
to
I forgot to
29.
put that in the
Yeah. So we've got what 10 weeks till that one, and I think there's what 6 weeks left of the NSC Ruck Challenge. So, and somewhere in there is probably going to be the Veristaleka remote military march as well.
I don't know. I went back and I looked, and last year they gave us 5 weeks notice in the email.
Yeah.
So if Verster is going to do a remote military march this year, they got to send the notice out soon. Or,
Well,
but yes, Rasul announced dates. They haven't changed the website yet. Registration's not open, so you can't do the remote military or the 4-day march for Rasul yet. But it's coming. The dates were May 26th to 29th.
yeah.
Cool. We talked a little bit about the new Shooter Canada. We're in the home stretch now, final 4 weeks. We had a pretty large attendance for the group hike in Kitchener over the weekend.
It was
Many
one
of
our
your
biggest
favorite
yet.
panelists were there.
It was
Yeah.
good. It
Yeah,
was a great time.
that was fun.
We had several listeners. We had many dogs. We had a mildly annoyed waitress providing us with beer and chicken wings.
And reminding
Yes,
us
she
that we
was.
still need to mask.
Well, I mean, like strongly encouraged, but it was fine.
Yeah.
I feel bad for.
It didn't
service
inspire
employees.
me to put a mask on, so.
Yeah, they
It
weren't
was
really
very
trying
passive,
very
it was
hard.
very
But
passive aggressive in her approach. It
If
was
you guys
ridiculous.
go to the bathroom, don't forget to put a mask on.
Yeah.
The COVID's up here.
It's not that I really
Not down here.
care. It's that if an inspector walks in, it's like.
well, that's
whatever.
I
to
don't.
be fair,
I don't
I'd wear one in the
begrudge the
bathroom,
poor
too.
person making minimum wage at a restaurant. Like server wages
Yeah, I
kind of
know.
suck. So I feel bad, but also like I'm not going out of my way for this. So if I make an effort and you just nod, we can call it a day, and I'll give you a tip. Does that like?
Yeah.
In my defense, though, I'm not used to going to these places because I have not been going to them for a couple of years now.
I think this
So-
is the first time I've eaten inside in a restaurant in 2 years.
Really?
Yeah.
No. We've
I've
gone
eat-
for wings at the Shakespeare.
Outside.
I think
No,
we
inside.
have one or two. It's been a year probably, anyways.
Yeah.
Maybe not.
Yeah,
two,
because there
but
was a time, but we were allowed to go before all the craziness came in.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's all a blur. The last 2 years are a blur to me.
Plexiglass.
It really is.
Yeah.
It really is a blur.
Well, shall we
As far
talk
as
about
I'm
news?
concerned, at the beginning of it, they were just like they banned me from everything. At the beginning of it, that's the way I look back on it. Is the vaccine passport started 2 years ago, almost to the day.
certainly feels like it.
I mean, it does seem that way.
Yep.
At least that's when we predicted it. Yeah.
Now I remember
That's-
not having to
that's-
wear a mask a long time into this pandemic, and then they're like, "Okay, you're getting better. Now we're going to implement masks."
Yeah,
Because they said masks didn't work.
Yeah, and the healthcare professionals needed them, but then it was like, no, now you need them, and then it's now you don't.
You said
need them.
heroes funny.
Yeah. Weird.
How about some news? Because we're talking about people that want to grow up to be heroes.
We talking
Apparently-
about that RCMP again?
Very
Not yet.
close. We'll get to them. They're on the shit list, but we'll get to them.
Were they ever off it?
I
No.
mean,
No.
Did the day end in Y?
Yeah.
Did the constable wear a funny hat? Like,
Stuck stick, drag weeds.
Which date? You need to be more specific so we know which
well,
one you're
that's
talking.
basically my respect for our national police force is rapidly approaching being non-existent. But we'll get to them. First, I'm going to shit talk the military, more specifically the Minister of National Defense, who is no longer Harjit Sajjan, which pros and cons. CTV News. We've got to grow, Anand says CAF must recruit more troops amid heightened global uncertainty.
So
Wow,
join
that's
so you can
really-
go to Ukraine.
I mean, in not so many words, yes.
I'm interested to know how many people left the military due to the vaccination.
Well, this is a thing that
All the
I've
good
been
ones.
Yeah.
struggling with is a lot of
Voluntarily or forced to leave?
a lot of people have decided to voluntarily release through COVID because being a soldier and working from home is not a compatible set of lifestyles. And there have been soldiers that have been physically removed, so to speak, because of their lack of compliance with various government mandates, mostly around the COVID vaccination policies. So people have been taken out of their positions, and I'm thinking about some specific senior NCOs that have been removed. But we've done a pretty good job of destroying a lot of senior NCOs over the last 10 or 15 years. Afghanistan ended 8 years ago last week, for those of you keeping score at home. We've done a pretty good job of gutting the military. And through COVID, the senior leadership in the military has done a pretty good job of not keeping their peckers in their pants.
well, I don't think was she saying like we need to recruit more troops because they're not going to go to the Ukraine, but I guess they're saying
They're not
like,
saying specifically, but
in
Russia
world
is the
tensions
biggest.
rising. Maybe we should have a better group
Yeah.
to draw from if
Well,
we had to.
So here's the fun dichotomy, though. I don't disagree that our military needs to be increased and be better funded and better trained and better equipped.
Yeah.
I do have concerns that the new Minister of Defense is saying that Russia is the greatest threat to global democracy since World War II, because apparently all the stuff that happened in the 60s, 70s, and 80s doesn't count anymore. So, like, the Chi-Coms in Korea, and the Americans in Vietnam, and the Russians in the French in Vietnam, and the Cuban Missile Crisis, and all of the African Bush wars through the 60s and 70s, and all of the Cold War where we, like, almost launched nuclear weapons at each other a couple of times.
We don't have nuclear weapons, Andrew.
People generally, not us specifically. If I had nuclear weapons as a deterrent, I feel like the government would be more inclined to leave me be, but that's beside the point.
But that would be my
West,
counterpoint.
saying the West.
That would be my
The
counterpoint.
West
is
being
that-
America, basically.
is that everything you mentioned didn't involve Canada until
Right,
except-
but
Wow.
this is my problem with the whole thing is none of these things have involved Canada, but there are the minister's argument is that because of political uncertainty around the world, because Russia is a bunch of really bad people, we need to grow our military in order to ... They don't say, but like the implication is that they want to go to war with Russia, because why else are you growing your military and making threats against Russians? And part of that is probably like the boomer programming, because we have a whole generation of people that have been told that the Russians are going to come over the pole and like Red Dawn into the country, and like it's going to be really bad, and the Russians are evil, and communism is bad. I don't disagree with that part. Communism is bad. Stay at
But
home.
they're still
stay in school.
equating
Don't be a communist.
Russians to communists, except that it's our prime minister that's the communist. And in my opinion, he's the greatest threat to democracy that we currently have facing our nation. Also,
Ain't no Russian ever called me a white supremacist.
Yeah.
Yeah, but her
Also,
job is to look at foreign threats, right? So
Yeah, and he's run by the Chinese, so that counts. But also recreational thermonuclear devices for all. That is
Recreation.
All right.
Okay, well, I think maybe they're just trying to like
New sun
take advantage
tanning.
of the current media frenzy over Russia and Ukraine in order to maybe finally meet the goals that they've been trying to meet for the last decade, because they've been chronically understaffed. They can't attract qualified candidates. And they're
Oh
just-
well,
it's not
haha,
that
hold
they
on though.
can't
There's a
attract
difference
them.
between
I was going to get to that in a second. Part of them is how choosy they are, but again, part of it is how many people want to put up the BS to do it. And yeah, they've done a Stalinist soft purge. Instead of a bullet to the back of the brain, they've just been medically releasing
there's-
people.
Yeah, there's effectively been a hiring freeze for certain people in the military. And then the ones that they're trying to attract probably don't want to show up because of the aforementioned, people that can't keep their peckers in their pants. So,
which I mean, like that is senior leadership in the CAF is kind of been a disaster the last couple of years.
Yeah.
Like
Yes.
basically since Vance left to CDS, like the senior leadership has been sort of a shit show. Right? Like the whole Norman what was that Vice Admiral? Norman I'm drawing a blank on his last name now. But there was like allegations of misconduct with that, and he ended up having to go to court, and like it ended up that it was a nothing burger, but they still like totally destroyed the man's career.
but I mean, maybe this is all a result of like that hiring freeze thing. So like you stopped hiring toxic white males, but maybe because they're not there anymore, they're not beating the crap out of the ones that are not behaving properly, because they're the real men, the real alpha men. And now you've got these shitbirds that are in there that don't look like an alpha male or whatever, and are just being shitbags and doing all the stupid things to everyone that they're not supposed to be doing.
You needed those assholes in the military to toughen
they're-
everybody up.
Because dicks also
So-
fuck assholes.
No. No.
Dicks
We're not
fuck
doing
pussies
Team
and
America
assholes.
stuff. We're going to talk crap about the Minister of National Defense, which I can understand the confusion.
well, if all you want is feminists like our current prime minister, then you're going to get feminists like our current prime minister. In
Well,
which case,
this is part of their hiring process. This is what the Minister of National Defense wants, is that they want to change the culture in the military. And I think that's wonderful. And I look forward to
What's,
losing all of the future wars they're involved in.
Yeah, I was gonna say, like, I don't know much about this defense minister. Like, what's her qualifications? Like,
She's a politician
She's
and
a
got put in charge of
liberal,
national
there's no-
defense.
They've never asked for a
Does
qualification.
she have a military background? Does she have
No.
any kind of military background? No.
No, but
I don't
but
believe so.
background-
No.
No, but that certainly didn't help the last one. So
yeah, so it's not a. Can you organize a business? Not even a business. Can you organize a entity efficiently? And that's all you need. It has nothing to do with your past knowledge of.
No, but still, you should have that skill. Plus, you should know
it would
the
certainly
applications of a
help. If,
battlefield. Like some things that happen on a battlefield, you should know. Like any good company that has a good boss knows what their ground troops are doing and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, but you're also trying to apply logic to anything the government interferes with and puts someone in charge of something. I mean, look at our fucking prime minister. What qualifications?
I
do they
have a
to run
very
goddamn
soft
country?
spot for our military, and I'm disappointed with how they're treating it.
Don't touch.
And this has nothing to do with this person. And that's not this person's fault.
No, and
The
I don't blame this
government
person. I
has-
blame the liberal government over and the conservative government for that matter. Because like, let's not
have disrespected the Canadian government or the Canadian military for a long time.
Well, and this is part of my problem. Is we went through the decade of darkness under Chrétien, and our military got gutted, and then we committed troops to Afghanistan for the better part of a decade without making the investments that should have been being made for our troops training or support or processes after the fact. Veterans Affairs Canada has been a joke for the last 30 years.
Yeah.
Right. So like, I don't place the blame strictly on the honorable Anand. Anand, I believe, is the minister's name. I don't place the blame strictly with her, but with government generally, because our military keeps asking for more than our government can give.
Well, how long has she been in this position?
Basic support and training and
new handguns.
So, like, society has done a pretty good job of trying to demoralize your patriotism. Like,
well, and this is the part that I find is really funny is that they've spent all this time trying to vilify the military.
Patriotism is just a synonym for white nationalism, and everyone knows white nationalism is racism. So if you
we're all wrong no matter what, because we're all.
I saw him. He lived over there.
Yes.
Should I describe that for the people not watching on YouTube?
I'm just pointing.
Maybe.
Just pointing.
Drew knife-handed side.
You were just waving to me.
I think what this was to make a point of is that in our country, there's no like, it's not really. It's like
it has not been a desirable profession, though. They have vilified being in the military for years, and they have refused to give the troops the tools and support that they need to be effective in their job. And the current prime minister has gone to court to tell past members that, in fact, we are not giving you your pensions or your benefits or the support that you need through Veterans Affairs because you're asking for more than we can give. Why would anyone want to sign up to do that? Right?
So,
why would anyone want to sign up?
Never mind
Yeah.
veterans; they can't even help current.
Yeah, I mean, like I was gonna say, my biggest thing is they pay shit. Like if I was thinking about joining, but I would have been taking a huge pay cut, and it takes years to come back to even close to what I was making to do the same job.
Right.
And,
So that's the thing, though, is that all of those downsides you would have to have, like, to compensate, to bridge that gap. You would have to have like a sense of pride. That's usually what pushes people into like service like that, right? Because there's not a lot of wins aside from patriotism and like desire to serve your country.
I agree.
In June, though.
Most people in the States.
Pride is in June.
Yeah. But like Canada already had sort of like quiet patriotism compared to like the US. Like we don't paint like screaming mooses or screaming beavers on everything like they have screaming eagles.
Could we?
I mean, we could.
Screaming mooses.
Our level of patriotism has been way more subdued. And then on top of that, you now shit all over patriotism and military service for being full of toxic white masculinity and all of this, and that war is evil and this and that. And then you gut them for all of the training and all the things that they need to do, and basically just they're glorified sandbaggers now for whenever there's an emergency flood in Gatineau or somewhere else.
That is literally the current fitness test. How do you handle
the other thing too is that the way that the social system is set up, why would you go and do something that's tough when you can stay at home on social assistance of some kind that pays the same amount? But
Sure, Beasley pays
if you
more
have
than
more than one kid.
Well, Sir Beasley pays more than a enlisted man right now would get. So,
Well,
yeah.
I mean, there was a
The only
time
thing-
though where all you were getting was sort of, shitty people that wanted to go and join the military because they could go and get free school and all of the things for free.
Yeah.
And like there was very little risk of going to war. So they weren't good enough or smart enough to get into the other schools, or they didn't have the work ethic to make the money to afford it. So they're like, whatever, I'll go into the military, get a job, get an education, and then I can get out of it and go and do something that way. And not that there's a problem with people that are taking advantage of those programs, but I think that they were taking advantage of it for the wrong reason.
Like the only thing I've noticed from this government is I would be better off joining Ukraine and throwing a grenade and then being captured for a little bit and coming back to Canada. I would make a boatload more fucking money than joining the military.
And
No,
you'd
you're
end up
wrong.
with a select fire
No.
AK.
Yeah.
joining
Yeah.
the Russians?
Well, I don't care
Joining
which
the
side, right? Like
Russians.
join.
Well, no, but I'm saying that.
Well, if you
that's true,
join
that's true.
the
That's the
Ukrainian
comparison.
side, you wouldn't
Join
be
the
called a
Russians.
terrorist. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
no,
no,
join
that's
the
true.
Russians.
Join the Russians, right? So I go over there, I lob a grenade and do something. I put up with a little bit of flack for a few years. I come back and get like a giant payday, and I get my photo up with the shiny pony that I can punch in the face and probably get another payday for because it was traumatic or something. I don't know.
PTSD flaring up or something. Yeah.
You could probably get a lifetime of pedagogy.
I don't know what that is, so I'm unsure.
You Google that later.
I don't know if I want to.
Google it now. Live reaction.
Yeah.
I don't Google shit I can't spell.
I am
Fair enough.
curious with this. The one sort of closing thought that I have on this is I wonder if this means that the military is going to reverse its unwritten policy of not hiring straight white men any longer. Because if they want to, sorry.
No, go
Well,
ahead.
if they want to suddenly increase the recruitment, all they need to do is hire the eligible applicants, which unfortunately
the
means it's
willing
not going to be
applicants.
a diverse or gender balanced pool to draw from, which I know has been a concern for recruitment lately because they're trying to make sure that it's a very visibly diverse and very balanced
Yes.
group of people
But
coming out
like,
of the calf.
even if you are, like, why would you want to in this
Well,
kind of
I'm
day
not
and age,
proposing that
the
you
way
would
things
want to,
are?
and I really,
Well,
I don't
for-
think
for
this
some
is the
people-
climate to or the country to be in the military for. I have a lot of reservations about how our country is being run and our military particularly is being run. And up until recently, the people that were saying a lot of like truly awful things about soldiers and serving members are now beating the war drum because evil Russians, I guess.
Yeah.
I still haven't quite I haven't connected whatever the dot is that I'm missing some piece of the equation. So I don't understand why the anti-war party is suddenly the pro-war party. I guess because it benefits them in some way, but I haven't figured out what that is yet.
Making the money somehow.
So
I have
before
to-
everybody decides to jump and they want to grow the force, so people should apply. I want to know what extra funding is going to go towards military training equipment and everything before we decide to, request or ask and say we need 10,000 more people to join the military and not drop another penny into the military funding.
Well, I
Fixed
think
procurement.
this could be a happy liberal soundbite. Is like we're just growing the military. Look at us. We care about the country. We're the real patriots.
Or they just, put it in the budget, and then when push comes to shove, they don't spend it on that. Spend it on
What's
something else.
that?
Yeah, budget.
Oh, he knows there's a budget. It balances itself.
doesn't currently exist, and there's $600 million unaccounted for from last fiscal year. But I mean, neither here nor there.
Yeah.
Where it's coming from. There's been a secret storing up of cash to go to the military, didn't you know?
Yeah, all that money
They can
promised
find
the
the
border.
$20 from some guy who donated to the Freedom Convoy. They can track him down and lock down his bank account. They can't figure out where $600 million went that they spent. It's great.
Because
Well,
that would
that's
make-
because the $20 was an easy single transaction. It went from that guy to GoFundMe. Like that's an easy. Fintrack's all over that. They're like, yeah,
Companies.
Monday morning before I finish my first cup of coffee.
Well, I'm sure the
Audit
people at
the Fed?
Fintrack could figure
No.
out something there
Yeah.
too. But the problem is that I'm sure some of that money went to the people that work at Fintrack. So
not only that, but I'm sure a bunch of shell companies they had to filter all that money through before it heads back to the free.
Right, that's what I'm saying. Like you gotta launder that a little bit. There's extra steps involved.
Yeah.
It's not just from my bank account to GoFundMe.
Yeah, you got to
Also, you gotta
put it through
remember
the
where the
Nigerian
money
prince, and you know.
You also have to remember where the money ended up, in which case no one wants to be looking and finding out that it ended up in liberal coffers. So better not look.
I mean, a
At
valid
this rate,
point.
they're honestly gonna be lucky if they can even like maintain current levels, let alone grow it. But I think they're still in a death spiral for the foreseeable.
I
They
feel
should
bad for our
restart-
serving members.
They should start replying to those emails from those like Nigerian princes. They might get lucky.
yeah,
You need one business partner for $1 million.
Yeah, I know, right? Somebody
Send me
died.
10,000.
Millions of dollars. You must give us your bank account number.
just
get
send
that.
me $10,000 to pay the lawyers' fees to send you
Yeah.
$10 million.
Those emails,
You know
like there's a winner out there, I swear. The government
How
should
about I
start
just
that.
sign him a letter and I'll give him 20 grand and they can take it out of the money once they give it to me.
Or they could just look for all those hot signals in their area.
Yeah,
I trust that more than government. Just saying.
yeah,
I mean,
Yeah.
the odds are better.
yeah.
Well,
I got a
should we
feeling they
talk
use
about
lube.
should we talk about that RCMP?
Yes, please.
RCMP.
Yeah, speaking of
That
Don't fucking handle
that
it.
RCMP.
Yeah.
They have a Porta Peak update. So everybody remembers there was the
Lots of
infamous mass killing in Nova Scotia 2 years ago. There seems to have been a bunch of news come out about that in the last couple of weeks.
2 years to
That's-
realize they actually were all shot or something.
Well, no. So we're only one article that I saw in the last couple of weeks was actually referred to it as a mass shooting, which was on CP340 and also fuck Toronto.
Because I remember recently coming out and them saying that actually the cause of death for everyone was gunshot wounds, whereas with the initial reports said, I could be
I
remembering
don't
wrong.
feel like that is a particularly relevant point.
Yeah,
I mean,
don't think it really
maybe one
matters,
way or
but
the
I'm
other, but-
curious how they would figure that all out, given the way that everything went down. Because I'm sure that unless it was very obvious, like a bullet to the head, if there's not a whole lot left of the body because it was set alight, how do you really determine that? But I guess
2
I'm not a
years-
medical professional, so
Right.
You need to watch more CSI.
No,
They tell
but
you
I'm
much.
very close to becoming the operations NCO at an RCMP detachment, which I didn't know was a career opportunity, but apparently I have been training for this job.
Yep.
First,
Did you
first
get
start-
to shoot did you get to shoot a fire hall?
but very, very close. Halifax Examiner. A couple glasses of wine, poor communications, and indecision about alerting the public were factors in RCMP command decisions after Porta Peak shooting. Follow-up article, also in the Halifax Examiner. 2 kids were hanging out listening to music when they saw the man who had just killed 13 people in Porta Peak. And then I also have an article from CP340 that I'm kind of ashamed of. We were 100% sure Mounties mistakenly thought Nova Scotia gunman had shot himself.
Yeah, the whole
So
thing
we-
just floors me.
We should start with the Halifax Examiner piece because
Okay.
if I start drinking wine, I could make operations NCO.
Turns out you can drink on the job and get paid to
You've
sit.
had
So
practice
it
at
remains
340
unclear-
Mondays.
You know what?
It
Assuming
remains
makes you
unclear to
right.
me if the ops NCO was actually drinking on the job. The implication is that they could have been, they may have been. The operations NCO apparently didn't want to go out on the road because someone may, He had a particular phrase, to smell it on him. Yeah, O'Brien. Not the transporter guy, the operations NCO.
But this is the thing.
You have to
So,
drink
like,
a lot to smell like alcohol.
Well, I mean, or maybe he's
At least a
particularly bad at
26er?
drinking. I'm not sure. Well, so it claims...
or very good at it.
It claims that he was... the Sergeant O'Brien that was involved in this is apparently had been doing some wine drinking.
Right.
Which, if he's off...
He was working
Isn't a
from
problem.
home because of COVID.
Well, but like working from home and working are different. Like I work from home.
Nobody.
But at 5 o'clock, I'm done work, and after I finish chores and errands and things, I get to talk crap about the government and drink.
And yeah, and now he's drinking at home, which is a different thing than working at home.
Right. Well, so it is
after 10
unclear
o'clock.
if it is unclear what the duties and responsibilities are to me, and if he was drinking on the job or not. Whether his job was being done from home or not, I don't think is particularly salient.
I have friends of mine that work in various forms of first responder and this and that and everything else. And like there are certainly times when they are on duty, and then there are other times when they are on call. So they're in their free time, but they're not in their free time. And
Yes.
when they're
So
in that
as an
weird
example,
gray area, they
well, I don't feel like it's a gray area,
Right.
and maybe this is anecdotal, but a friend of mine is a volunteer
they'll go and
firefighter, so he carries
they'll do
his
the things.
volunteer firefighter around, a volunteer firefighter pager around, and if he gets a call and he's sober, he goes and he puts the wet stuff on the hot stuff and poses in the calendar and does all the firefighter things.
Yeah.
But if we've been drinking, we'll listen to the pager and it'll give him a call and he'll be like, yeah, I'm not going to that because I can't drive right now. Because he's like a responsible adult. And I realize this is anecdotal, but my expectation is if you're in a first responder capacity and you're on call, that like you're still a reasonable adult. So like know that you've been drinking, you shouldn't do the dangerous thing.
There's various
right?
levels of on call as well, where there's the, hey, we've got a thing, and if you are sober, you show up. But then there's other times where it's like, you don't have to be at the station or wherever it is or in uniform, and you can go do whatever you want to do, but you need to be reasonably accessible, which means then like go hang out with your friends, go for dinner, go bowling, go do whatever you want. But if the thing goes off, you need to get here ASAP. So that means you can't be drinking. So, there's some various levels and ways that this could work, but either way, if you should be working or on call, don't be irresponsible. Be a reasonable adult. And if you know that you shouldn't be drinking, don't be fucking drinking. Wait until you're off. Like actually
but
off.
at the same,
So to give him the benefit of the doubt, just as a theory, this was the commander, right? So like this is a big deal.
The
Let's say
ops NCO, not the detached. They don't call it the
Yeah.
detachment commander. It's the
no, he's the operations NCO for this one.
who's the guy that runs the detachment?
if I remember, so
Alfaro.
ignoring command structure.
He's got a
right?
title,
It sounds
district
like-
commissioner. District commissioner.
It sounds like this guy, the operations NCO, is pretty high up on the chain of command. And whether or not he was actually on duty, let's say he was off duty, this is a pretty big deal. What's going on, and he would probably have to go in whether or not he was on duty or not. But
A very strong
remember-
possibility.
I distinctly remember though that this event happened over quite several hours. In which case, I'm sure he
13
could have had,
hours, I think.
he could have had someone
mixing that
drive
up with a
him to
Michael
the
Bay
station.
film, but
First 13 hours and then more in the morning. Like it was over the course of 24.
but-
Could
So-
have had someone drive him to the detachment, and then he'd say, "Yes, it's time. We should notify the public," which
Well,
never happened
or-
except over Twitter. So
Yeah, over 12.
Or
well, we should
how
talk
do
about
they
that
not
part of
have
the timeline
how
too.
do they not have a backup for this critical role where it is?
Oh, we definitely need to touch on that. So,
we already established they're
Colchester
very
County?
understaffed.
Is that Colchester County?
Yes, yeah.
Somebody
Municipality
speak
of
Newfie?
Colchester.
Colchester?
Municipality
Well,
of
they're not.
Colchester.
They're not Newfoundland, but I mean,
Colchester.
could try.
Nova Scotia. They're all nations.
Nova Scotia.
There are the Maritime.
What- The sauce that I use for hamburgers, Worcestershire.
Worcestershire.
Yeah, Worcester
Colchester.
Worcester sauce.
Indeed. Colchester County, where this took place. there is apparently a small funding problem for law enforcement. So they're supposed to have 33 people, and I think they ended up having 27 working.
Illness and well, they have 5.3 million a year for 33 officers, but Carol, the deputy director, whatever, said illness and leaves left an attachment with 27 guys.
Yeah.
Okay, which I mean, that doesn't sound ideal. I don't know how big the county is. I don't know how many people there, but like, they're down by like, call it 20% of their staff, right? That's a fairly significant impact, I would imagine. Like, if 20% of my guys didn't show up for work, our operations would be impacted, right?
Yeah, but they, like, out of this, like, how many people, so they had 33, or they had 27 out of 33, but I mean, not 27 were all on shift at that time, right? Their shift work. No. There's 2 to 3 shifts, right? So at that point, you're down 6 people that were off, scheduled to be off. So it wouldn't be any different than, let's say, you work a night crew and a day crew, and 2 people call in sick or take vacation on the day crew, and 2 people at night take time off.
And my thought is more just that, like, 5%. They're already starting off shorthanded, and not that that's an excuse, but like, again, this is a funding issue. This is a staffing issue, and like, I don't want to. I know I'm giving them credit for when they hold the military tribunal in my honor in the future, but like, maybe a couple of straight white men on the payroll would be able to help solve this problem.
It's the exact same problem as the military. It's recruiting, right? The recruiting is limited, so you're not getting as many people, and so.
Well, but if you remember the timeline, they were the assistance was offered by local police.
Well, but the guy was too busy drinking wine to go and reach out to people. Yeah.
Well, not even that. Yeah. People offered and they were turned down.
Yeah.
Did they though? Because my understanding was the local PD was not asked for a significant period of time.
I distinctly remember someone
at this point though, like,
turned down.
And I think somebody did, but where it was in the timeline, I don't know. And like, obviously, like, now that some of this other stuff has come out, one, the guy that may have been the one that makes the decision may or may not have had a few glasses of wine when he shouldn't have. 2, they may have declined because they thought the guy had shot himself and the whole thing was over.
Well, let's put that one on pause for a minute. The guy that makes the decisions in the operations NCO are not the same dudes. So the district commander and the ops NCO are two different people. Yeah. But the ops NCO also ended up being on a radio not that much later after having said, like, I shouldn't be on the road, so...
But this is
at some point he ended up sort of being involved in running things, which.
But this is the thing. So like, there needs to be some redundancies in the system. Like, if you have any sort of system, like, team that's supposed to be there for public safety, there needs to be redundancies, because at any point in time, someone's going to need a day off because they've either, that's their actual day off, or they're sick or other things. So there needs to be people that are in charge. Like, actually in charge. Then there needs to be a backup guy, and then there needs to be a guy that, like, it's his day off. And so, like, if you've got, for every officer on duty, you should have an officer that's on duty, one that's on call just in case, and then one guy that's off, and they rotate through those things. And I know that's not always possible.
Unreasonable, and so that's the thing, is it's like,
but it should be
realistic logistics are.
It should be made possible.
Well, and like, you got to balance that against like the size of the community that you're policing and everything else. But like,
and I don't want to say that it's not that it's not that we're going to come up with the answer or the solution to this either, right? It's like, this is a big systemic problem with how they deal with policing, and the RCMP are like.
For this. I do have a solution for this, because as much as we should talk the CBC nonstop, they do have a fairly in-depth podcast about this, 13 hours, Nova Scotia shooting. And it's been a while since I've listened to it, but like, I can almost positive that one person was on there and said, "Hey, I see the guy. You want me to shoot him?" And the cop said, "No." And then like 6 other people died.
See, that's
So I'm
why
like,
they should never have asked. They should have just done it.
Yeah, but
It's always better to beg
ask for
forgiveness and ask
permission.
permission. Yeah,
Right.
just do it.
Don't
Yeah.
ask
Right,
Yeah,
so-
but then he would have gotten 5 to 10 for shooting someone.
right, and there would have been no proof that he prevented,
And
a few other people,
60,000
even one other person.
$60,000 later,
He was coming
That's
right for me, Benny. He was coming
and
right for me.
$60,000 later, you're still stuck holding the bag. And does anybody care that you say
all
how
I'm
much
saying,
lives?
if-
No.
If I'm in a situation and I know that some guy just killed a bunch of people, I don't care. I will sleep very soundly in prison for 5 years.
Right. And I mean, don't get me wrong. Like, I would have put the cop on mute, shot him, and then just be like, oh, he took off, and see he went like somewhere else and start shoveling like there's no fucking tomorrow. Bury the cocksucker. But right, like, and like, do the whole shebang to like not get caught. But right, that's part of it. Is like they told everybody, okay, stay in. But like I distinctively remember one episode of them, and it's a pretty decent podcast to listen to. Whenever you're all caught up on ours and there's a delay between next week's episode. But it was pretty good but it was actually a pretty good one where, as much as we give flack for the CBC, it was pretty open on both sides, not so much one-sided, that I was actually surprised by it. And I'm just like, like a lot of things went wrong. And I think 100% all of this was I can almost guarantee you no RCMP that ever decided to go to fucking Nova Scotia ever thought they were going to deal with a guy that was going to run everywhere, shoot people, and set buildings on fire. Right?
That doesn't change
It's
the
completely
fact that they
different to
were
a cop
ill-prepared.
wanting to
That's fair.
be in
And I'm not.
Toronto. And
I'm not.
But you're not
placing
actually,
some blame
you don't actually
on.
get to choose where you get posted in the RCMP.
I'm
you
not.
do.
I'm not.
You do
To a
now.
I'm
certain
not being
extent.
critical of the
yeah?
frontline officers that are responding to this. I'm being critical of the NCOs and officers in charge, in command positions. They don't call it a tactical operations center. I don't remember what the RCMP term is. The MCC and the critical incident commander. The Army calls it a CIRR, but I don't know. Again, the RCMP has like their own term for critical incidents, and I don't speak RCMP. Right? That's not my thing. I kind of halfway speak Army still. I don't have any grievances against the frontline officers that were out there trying to do their jobs. My grievance is against the leadership in these positions that they didn't know what tools were available to them. They didn't interface with other law enforcement agencies. They didn't bring in the resources they should have brought in to deal with a mass casualty scenario, which is a thing they should be being trained on.
Yeah.
None
Can
of
I
this
say
should have
something?
come
Can I
as
say
a
something?
shock to anyone.
I think honestly though, this has been a failure from top to bottom, from the lowest ranked constable to the highest ranked person in charge. When I read the article and it said that we heard a loud bang in the woods at 2 a.m. and so we called it a night. That's where it's like, what the fuck does
Well,
that
one
mean?
would think that like
you
he's going
you
around-
stop
What?
looking till
I
you
get-
find a
I
body.
get
That's
that.
it.
I-
That's it.
I get that. I've been the private on police call picking shit up at 2 a.m. and it's the end of an 18-hour day and somebody in charge is like, all right, boys, good enough. Time to go. And hell
like
yeah,
20
it's time to
but
go.
10 people just died. That
but
doesn't
also-
apply.
I
it would
I
be,
understand what you're saying, but also like
Yeah.
you've been on duty for 18 hours. It's a high stress environment. You want to go home and you see your wife and your
Sure,
kid.
but
I
if they
understand the
knew-
frontline cops not wanting to keep looking because they're like, well, we got a DB, we got to go drag out of the woods tomorrow. He'll still be there tomorrow. It's not like he's going to get
but
up and
that's
walk
the-
away.
That's the if
At a
they
certain
know
point,
for
you have
sure
to
that he's
stop
there
pointing.
and they have a ring of officers literally holding hands and they know for a fact he hasn't left the area. But also, like, do your fucking job.
It's called. It's
Well,
like
and
the
that's
Doctor
the
Evil
problem
thing,
is-
where like
I
Doctor Evil
don't know.
has Austin Powers in the room in an easily escapable situation, but just assumes it all goes according to plan. It's like it's the same
Yeah.
mentality there. It's
At
like
a
That's
certain
what I mean,
point,
like-
you have to stop blaming the brass and just say, "I'm sorry, but your entire organization has failed." at
Oh,
your
I
core-
don't disagree with
your
that.
core thing.
Uh,
You are
In
you are
case it has been unclear at points in
What are you still doing
history, My preferred solution to most of our problems with the RCMP is to disband the RCMP. My stance on that has not changed.
No. And
We
at the
need a
same
proper
time, like,
gendarme in this country. Am I saying that right, Pierre? It's French. Gendarme? Years ago. All right, move it.
I don't even know what the fuck you're talking about. So I
The
don't know.
French word for national police
Not
force,
French.
gendarme?
Gendarmerie.
Gendarmerie?
No,
Who's Marie?
No, you're not
Wouldn't it be
listening.
like police nationale or something?
there is no
Listen,
gender
Caker.
there. It's male or female, Andrew. Those are the two genders. That's it. No gender.
Yeah.
How would we just call them federales?
Well, I mean, that's easier, but that's because you can put the
and at the same
emphasis on the
time,
correct syllable.
Yeah.
Wannabe cowboys.
And at the same time, right? Like we're talking about, okay, you know, for example, the example Andrew said where, you know, you've been on duty for 18 hours and someone above you says, hey, everything's good, go home. You know, do you question anybody above you in certain scenarios, right? Like there's so much flack for everything.
I mean,
Well,
I know, I would like to think
like, hey, boss, I just heard a gunshot.
I would
noise,
like
but if
to
you're fine
I
with
would
me
like to
going home,
think
I'll
that
go
if there's probably only 10 officers on duty at any given time, that like it's a small knit community. You would want to just be like, you know what? I'm just gonna go over to the scene and see what's what. I want to see this person for myself, but I don't know.
I mean, shitty people, yeah, they'll go, all right, well, not my responsibility more. If this isn't right,
Someone-
the brass will take it. But people that have already
someone
read
said-
this month's book would take that ownership and go, no, I am going to go and make sure that the job is done.
Yeah. And that's the thing, right? Like
I think
we are
that's-
saying
They haven't
we
read
are
the
saying
book.
a lot
They haven't
of
read
things.
the book.
That's the big failing in this, though, is no one is taking culpability, responsibility for this, and even
I hear a lot of
the
like
district commander is like, well, it's a shared responsibility. There were 3 of us that were in charge. No,
Well, fine.
there is
All of you got
one
fired. Get
person
fired.
that is in charge. Maybe there were 3 people working together. Maybe there was 3 people in the talk having some sort of command authority over whatever they were doing.
Yeah.
But ultimately, a person is in charge of the incident.
Yep.
And I still think this is a failure in leadership. Not that it's not terrible. Not that
100%.
obviously there's like a crazy person running around killing people, and that in of itself is bad and is a whole problem to have to deal with. But the response that the RCMP failed to deliver in this, the response from the RCMP is massively disappointing. And no one in the RCMP is taking responsibility at this point to say, yeah, we fucked up and we can do better.
They can.
Yeah.
They proved it over and over and over again that they are incapable of acting as a basic police force in this country.
You were not there. You did not see that fire hall charging at them.
I mean,
Like,
to be fair, that
how
fire
many
hall was
times-
coming right for them.
Yeah.
How many
Just saying.
RCMP officers have to die in the Maritimes before we realize that they are incapable of protecting themselves, never mind the public?
I mean,
So, but also at that point, is that lack of training, lack of competence, or lack of
Well,
proper
How many
procedure?
RCMP officers have been shot and killed in Alberta? They use them as a provincial police force.
the 4 in Marathorpe, right? Recent
That's
memory.
Pretty much it. Yeah.
They also
Over
shot
the
at each
past-
other.
I'm sure
at
that
a
I'm sure
training
there
camp.
are more. I'm sure there are more, but
Yeah,
like
but-
recent
but,
memory is the
like,
4 in Marathorpe.
And at that point, right? Is it lack of training?
Well,
Is it
police
lack
are-
of
it's-
resources or
it's-
They
lack
talk
of?
about that.
They have a high
They've
chance
talked
of
about that
happening,
in the
but-
interview with the district commander, and they're like, "Well, what if we give you more equipment? What if we have GPS-enabled radios and night vision?" And he's like,
We did.
"Well, that would help, but could you hire 2 more people?" Also, apparently,
Yeah,
it costs
right.
$300,000 to hire 2 more constables in rural New Brunswick, which
Well, we have to fly
I know
in
that
each
the
other
take-home
out
pay
there,
is
right?
not the same as like what it costs to have an employee, right? Because you got to like you have to pay the benefits, and there's the insurance, and there's your
Yeah,
contributions to
car.
CPP and
There's
EI, and like,
potentially another vehicle
overhead and-
so they're probably
right. So
taking
like I get that, but like also like an
consideration
RCMP
vehicle,
officer
maintenance,
costs $150,000 a year to maintain. That seems like a lot of money.
It's a bit excessive.
Yeah.
But also nobody wants to do it, and they all have to have university degrees, so they have to pay for that university loan somehow.
I mean, I guess I don't know what the take home pay is for a first year RCMP constable, but like $150,000 to hire a person seems. Oh, if it's okay, if it's 80, I mean that's actually not unreasonable then.
I think even the OPP is 85 for probationary, but by the same token though too, it's not cheap to run them through depot when you think you have 6 months or so of time where they're running through a training course and they're not
right. But like depot and detachment are different things. This guy wants 300,000 for 2 bodies, so like those are 2 trained bodies.
Yeah, but even then,
none of that funding that goes from detachment is involved in that training. And I mean, like I have family that is RCMP, and I can say depending, well, yeah, more than one too. But like depending where you go, I know of someone that is decided to go North Canada, and I mean, single, no kids, fuck it, I'm going up north. And I mean, his first year was 125K as RCMP.
And it probably pulls like Northern Living Allowance and a bunch of other.
Yeah, exactly, right? Like, and that's where he was.
They start at 63,000.
I think this all kind of falls back to what Liz was saying earlier with the whole like lack of patriotism in this country, much like the military, especially when you start talking with like the federales. Nobody wants to do that because one, like it's a very thankless job, especially lately, like with all of the things and then like all cops are bastards and you get shit on. Like you're just trying to do your job. And then they start defunding you because that's the popular thing to do. So you don't get all the money to deal with the things. You're still dealing with the things that you're not supposed to be dealing with because there actually are mental health things and not policing problems. But you don't have any training to deal with it. It doesn't matter what you do, you're going to get shit on and make the wrong call, even if you make the right call, because everyone's judging you after the fact. So nobody wants to go into this anymore. So everyone's underfunded, understaffed, and everything else. And then you have these bloated institutions that make the stupidest decisions that don't help anything other than lining their own pocketbooks.
So I was going to say, isn't the defund the police thing a relatively new idea, say past 5 years or so? But maybe not, just because I was going to say, like RCMP, don't they have a very much a, loose lips sink ships kind of idea that don't talk outside the family?
It's one of the oaths they take.
Yeah, it's one of the 3 oaths.
Yeah.
Omerta.
You know it.
Like,
just like the mob.
Like it sounds like a giant problem that they suck and they don't want to tell anyone about it.
I mean, yes,
but
also no.
They're not answerable to anybody.
I understand, like. I understand the issue as a frontline officer. If you're in those positions, if you're dealing with, because like every day you show up to work, you're dealing with like the shittiest part of society, right? Like every day you go to work is going to be a bad day. And that's going to wear on you, and you're going to be jaded, and you're going to start to not like dealing with the public because you're dealing with the absolute worst part of the public, because nobody's calling you because they're having a good day. You're walking into people's houses on the worst day of their lives, right? That's gonna color your experiences. I get that.
Sure.
But the lack of professional conduct is the part that I really take exception to. And that no one is willing to be responsible for the decisions that they're making.
Or held responsible, because I don't think anyone's going to be held responsible for this. They're going to say,
I am not sure about that. I think that the tribunal might do something about this.
They will.
Is someone's head going to roll?
Are any of these people on suspension?
I don't think it's going to be a significant enough change. It's not going to be disband the RCMP, which is my preferred outcome. It's not going to be a massive overhaul. Maybe the detachment commander in this point, like he was already up for retirement. He's gone and done. He's got his 40 and he's out. Which, and again, like 40 in the RCMP, like that's a long time.
Yeah, that's
service.
That's big.
Like that's a long time, because like, what are you're pension eligible in the RCMP after 25?
Probably.
And you max out at
And-
35.
Sounds about right.
And from what I can understand, or I'm almost willing to bet, 39 of those 40 years, I mean, there was fuck all he had to deal with in
Right, but
comparison
it's
to
the-
this.
But that
It's that
doesn't mean
last-
he did a good job. I'm
not
sorry.
saying he
You
did
do
a
It
good
doesn't
job.
mean that
I'm
it
just saying-
doesn't mean that he
You do a
did a
great
good job.
job. If you're an angel your whole life, then you murder an elementary school full of kids. I'm sorry. That doesn't mean anything. When push comes to shove, if you don't stand up and
Right.
present yourself in
I don't know
proper
that
manner,
negligence and
I'm sorry.
homicide is exactly interchangeable, but
No, but
My
but
point
at
is,
the
though,
same time,
I'm sorry, but it doesn't make a difference what your service record was. When push came to shove, you were in charge and you failed miserably.
well,
Now,
and this
well,
is
I don't
this
care
is
how
the
you-
part that I have concerns
have
about.
fun.
Is like they're like, well, we have the alert system. Well, I don't know what the alert system is or how to use it, and it's like,
Twitter.
oh,
but
okay,
they didn't even
well,
bother using it. That's the
No,
thing.
they,
Well,
they
but-
used Twitter.
They did at the time. At the time, the detachment commander. I'm using the wrong title. It's not his right word. The district commander.
Grand
Yes.
Poobah.
Can I just
Yes.
reiterate?
Sued.
The
FBI
The Ramalama
CIA
Ding Dong
managed
did
to
not
notify-
use the correct thing.
Yeah.
They used the Twitter, but they didn't even use the Twitter effectively, because
No.
the Twitter
Right.
allows you to post things in 140 characters or less as you think of those things. You don't have to wait 9 hours
hours.
before you're like, there's some guy out committing a mass killing spree. People
The
might want to
fucking
know about
doors.
that. And then like another 2 hours to be like, oh, by the way, he might be dressed as an RCMP officer and driving a
It
car
was-
that looks like it's an RCMP car.
It
Oh,
was
and
3 hours that they found out they had. He was in a cop car, and they waited 3 hours to put that out on Twitter. And in that time, he killed 4 people.
right,
So,
and I take exception to that. I take exception to that they're using Twitter as their means of communication, and I take exception to the fact that they sat on useful information that arguably could have saved lives. And
Yeah.
maybe it makes me sound like I'm running for liberal government, but if it just saves one life,
But at the same time, so
It's one
I
of the
don't
only
know how.
times it actually applies.
but
I
it
don't know
really does apply in this situation.
No, I agree.
I don't know exactly how Twitter works, but do you need to follow the RCMP to get notifications from the RCMP?
Yeah.
Yes.
In
Yes.
this scenario.
I mean, sort
Yes.
of, yes.
Well, yeah.
Basically,
like-
yes.
Unless you're looking in like whatever the news.
I mean, maybe
section,
maybe
I'm
the
not sure how that
RCMP
works.
makes a trending the tweet, but you'd have to be looking at the
Right,
trending
so-
the tweets.
So
They're
okay,
different.
because I didn't know how Twitter worked. So
Yeah, you'd have
like,
to follow
if-
them.
if
You are
don't
correct.
Follow, Nova Scotia Twatters. Would you get these notifications of them
I don't even
saying,
think
like,
it's
hey,
necessarily a
like-
notification. Like it's not like a push notification. But again, like
You have to be
You
on
can
Twitter.
do it
and
with-
you
really-
have
Okay, so there's like hashtags and stuff like that. So a lot
Yeah,
of people, they'll follow something. So a great example is like the convoy that was in Ottawa. So people
Yeah,
wouldn't
but
necessarily follow accounts. They would follow like a hashtag that says Freedom Convoy. So a lot of
Yeah.
local communities will be like
Yeah, but-
Colchester County.
Yeah.
Like a hashtag
Milton,
for
Milton
Colchester
Strong
And then
County.
it'll,
or whatever.
yeah,
Yeah,
it'll,
but who would follow mass shooting Nova Scotia?
But they're
Well,
not
but
going
they-
to.
Like
you would
like how do you
hashtag
make a
your-
It doesn't-
hashtag that
it doesn't
everybody would
start
follow?
out with
No.
that. That's
So
the
like
you-
people would be notified that like if you're in Colchester County or something,
Yeah.
you might follow the local county hashtag. Like you have to be really in the Twitter sphere for this to apply.
So part of the problem is I'm
you
sure
gotta
that
be
the
a
guy
big
in
tweet.
the guy in charge of this
What?
was a boomer and doesn't understand technology.
But
then
again,
realized
I
9
attribute
hours
this to
later. that
I
he
attribute
had
this to a
technology
leadership
to-
failing.
Yeah.
Because if I get all kinds of stupid alerts at I shouldn't say stupid alerts. That is unfair to people that are in unfortunate circumstances. I get a lot of Amber Alerts that wake me up at like unreasonable times for people that are nowhere near where I live. Because while it is terribly unfortunate that a child has been abducted 4 or 5 hours away from me, there's nothing I can do about that at 3 a.m. because they are very unlikely to be in my domicile.
Yeah. And this is
Especially
my
when they're
biggest
going
problem with the
east.
thing is
Right, especially when they're going
They-
east and you live west of where they were abducted.
Right, but I am and maybe this is not true for the entire country. We're very Ontario heavy on the panel today, but also a really big panel. So maybe this isn't true everywhere, but when you get like Amber Alerts and things on your phone, my phone, my wife's phone, my son's phone, my dog's phone, all of the phones in the house are going off.
You can make it silent on Android. I don't know about iPhone. Just saying.
I've turned mine off,
Probably
honestly.
can.
I've got so many of these. I don't even.
So
doesn't
this
turn
is
on my
my
phone anymore.
issue with that system is we absolutely have the perfect thing to do this, and we've been using it. The problem is that the people in charge of the system use it inappropriately, where they will do a province-wide alert for a very localized thing, and they will do it way too late.
6 hours later.
Or they won't do it at all, because doing search and rescue, I get call outs for people that they have not sent out an alert for when they should have done it. Because if they had done that, they may not have even needed us to go and do a recovery, not a rescue. But then, like in an instance like this, where it's like, you know what, at this point, I don't think anyone would care if it went to the whole province because there's some crazy guy out there shooting people. Fucking send it to everyone instantly.
Yeah, like stay in your house. There's a crazy gunman on the loose setting people on fire.
Don't answer your door for anybody.
We're not talking about like, hey,
and
so there's been a
goddamn, don't go near the fire halls.
It's not a spousal thing where it's like, oh, my ex has abducted my child and the child isn't really in danger, but they're with someone they're not supposed to be with somewhere in the province, especially when it happens in Ontario and they're like in fucking northern Ontario, which is like 10 hours plus away. And you're like, I'm all the way here and it's
not gonna happen.
Shitty. And you're like, there's no way that this person is anywhere near me right now, even though this thing came out 6 hours later. But yeah, shooting up somebody, like, yeah, hey, whole fucking or even whole fucking country. This is happening right now, just in case you happen to be in this area. I don't think anyone would complain about anything of that severity
I'm sure
level.
some people would, but I take your point.
I would.
Yeah.
Right?
And like, so I hate to bring the US into this because we're Canadian, but wasn't there school shootings or whatever where they, you know, the whole system was revamped about active shooter scenarios of what the proper steps to take from A to B from when
we have this. From what I understand, that's been actually a North American thing.
Yeah,
that's how supposed to.
Did we as well? Okay,
we have not revamped our active shooter thing since the Montreal thing.
So
In
like
the 80s.
what was that?
Never mind.
80 what? 84? No. 84?
No.
89.
I think it
Who cares?
Wasn't it?
depends on what we mean by active shooter thing, because I'm reasonably convinced the current doctrine is first guy there gets to go in, don't wait for backup. But that's only because I forget what the stat is. It's like 95% of active shooters end in suicide because as soon as you show up and have resistance, they're just like,
but like
loud noises in a woods, come back tomorrow.
Yeah, in terms of
like,
large scale re-education and training on things, we have not done a whole lot in Canada for that stuff
since '89.
Yeah, whenever
you said that a while ago. Catch up.
Yeah, whenever the Polytechnic thing was, we have not done a whole lot in terms of changing the doctrine in terms of active shooters because we haven't had to deal with it. Really,
right? So as shitty as it is, and like I said, I hate to mention the States, but like something really drastic had to happen in the States because, you know, cops that were 5 minutes away showed up and they were like, well, this isn't my fucking job. Like, we're waiting for SWAT.
Well, but that was a whole other problem, right? That they were told that they don't have the. They're not.
We're not talking gun politics or all that, right? But they changed their whole policy on how, you know, people are now, you know, better equipped, sort of better trained for a scenario where, unfortunately, this is part. I shouldn't even say part of their culture. But that's how I'm going to say it, right? So, you know,
I don't know that it's their culture, but like the solution to violence is overwhelming violence.
Right. So unfortunately,
right, like if a dude is trying to like rob you or mug you or something, and you're on, like, the solution to that problem is to do overwhelming violence to that person and stop them from doing it. The same is true in like mass casualty
100%.
events where like if Buddy is lighting up fire halls and lighting people's houses on fire, the solution to that is to pull out your patrol carbine and like expend ammunition.
No, but you're missing.
Where do the documentaries on haiku come in?
Violence is not the answer until it's the only answer.
But that's what I mean. Like at the point where you're at the violence, you need to do the overwhelming amount of violence. Like some violence is not the solution.
No,
all of the violence.
And after you shoot them, you have to teabag them.
That's just SOP. I mean,
full squat.
Assert your dominance.
Bend the knees deeply. Get full extension.
And dead checks, not because you have to, but because you want to.
Just because ammo's expensive, it's not an
ammo's
excuse
expensive,
not to.
but like
Not
some
an
we're
excuse
shooting,
not
we're
to.
shooting twice.
Exactly.
I'm worried the RCMP is going to be like taking notes on this and being like, well, we heard it on CPP, so it must be true.
Yeah.
At least it would be an improvement.
Or they can watch
next RCMP
Zombieland. I mean, talk about the double tap.
Not
Hollywood's all
quite the same thing, but close enough.
What I'm worried about is the next RCMP shooting. You're going to see some RCMP officer teabagging the guy on national TV because he was listening to this.
Suddenly, my respect for the RCMP would go way up.
I mean, don't get me wrong. Yeah, I kind of want to see it, but like
the body cam footage would be epic.
I'd feel bad for whoever's family it is, right? Like if my family got shot by that RCMP, probably because they're white.
At first, I was gonna be like, why are you feeling bad? This guy's probably a bad. But then I remember it's the RCMP. They probably shot.
Right. Like someone in my family got shot because they're white by that RCMP.
I don't know what.
And then I gotta watch like him teabag them. You know, I mean, anybody else, I'm down. I'd like the post, but if it was someone I know, I'd kind of feel bad.
I'd like to touch on the Freedom Convoy stuff very quickly, but I feel like we're also running out of time, and we need to start wrapping this up because it's bedtime. The CBC has quietly retracted some stories.
Yes.
Hot takes on that, and then we're going to wrap things up.
I mean, at least the retraction came a heck of a lot sooner than the ones for Patrick Brown.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, that would that take 3 years?
Fuck, like
2018,
more,
you're closer to 4.
It was because
closer to 4.
how long has Fat Man been in power? Like 4 years or coming up on it. So it was before he ran for the party because he was going to run against Brown. So
well into 4 years. Yeah, well into 4 years.
If you have runny Brown, you should take a pill and take care of that.
Right.
Well, let's wrap things up then. I'm not entertaining that conversation any further. Book club. The last Monday of every month, we do book club because reading will make you a better person. It expands your mind. It lets you learn things. It's good for you.
Depending on what you read.
Well, I mean...
So you mean
I would take pretty much any reading over, like, consuming Hollywood product, but, like, I suppose there are exceptions to that.
So Harlequin
Erotica?
romance novels for you then?
I mean, it's important to be able to use your mind to visualize things and...
Probably still better than a chick flick.
I was gonna say.
I mean, if I had to pick, I'd pick the romance novel over the chick flick. Like, at least I can imagine her with whatever hair and shape that I prefer.
God, I'm worried about May's book club now.
All right, send in your favorite Harlequin romance novels for May.
Please don't.
No, please do. Let me know what's good for you, so I can let you know what's good for me.
We're gonna get some weird prepper Hugh Cow books, aren't we? That's
oh.
Don't shame the preppers. Come on now.
No, we're shaming the Hugh Cow lovers, which there just happens to be a strong overlap between them and the prepper community. That's all.
You guys are like opening up a whole new genre. Somebody's gonna start writing, prepper romance novels.
they're out there.
Funny in the morning.
I feel like that's a thing.
They're out there. But,
we should get Glenn back on the show. Let's get Glenn Tate, everybody.
Ian biting his tongue.
Oh, is Ian secretly authoring a prepper romance
No.
novel?
No, I definitely not.
That was a very quick. I don't know. I feel like you might have been denying that a little bit prematurely.
No romance novels from this guy. I don't know what romance.
There's no romance in Hugh Cows. That's yeah.
That's strictly
Ask the goat if he was premature.
Yeah. Strictly a survival situation.
Not how you milk that. The last Monday of the month is book club, and this month we will be listening to Jocko Willnick's book, Extreme Ownership, which would be a great recommendation if you happen to be in the RCMP. So for both of the guys at the RCMP that have to listen to this as part of their job, please use the Amazon affiliate link and help keep my child in diapers.
Yeah,
because he refuses to get out of bed at 2 a.m. to pee in the potty.
I feel that.
I hate that stage. It eventually goes away. Hopefully.
I know, but in the meantime, the Amazon bucks help.
Because eventually you just get old enough and you just piss the bed, so it's fine.
And just to clarify, for the first time in like how long have I been on here? Fucking 40 episodes. I think I finally used the Amazon link. So don't feel bad. Just I don't know if it worked. I'm still waiting to figure out if whatever, but from what I've been informed, that's how I do it. So do the clickety click and the ordery
clickety click
and and
clickety click and ordery, and then that's right. You'll take a few dollars away from Jeff Bezos's cock rocket and you'll give it to my kids' diaper fund.
Yeah.
Boppity boop.
Also, because we're trying to get on top of things, we've already announced the April book. It's a quick read. Animal Farm by George Orwell. Because it's been a while since we did an Orwell book. And I'm reasonably convinced the man was a time traveler.
Yeah.
Or at least he had one of those orbs that he pondered frequently and was able to see the future with it.
Or history.
Some animals.
Itself.
Or all of the above, yeah.
Some animals are more equal than others. So, March, we're going to do the Extreme Ownership. April, we're going to do Animal Farm. Tune in next week when we decide a May book, probably live and on air. If you want it to be a Harlequin romance novel, you should email feedback at CanadianPatriotPodcast.com and let us know who your favorite Harlequin romance novel authors are so that I can start doing some research.
This will be hilarious if we actually do one.
Oh no, I'm
look up all of the titles. I'm gonna look.
I am reasonably convinced that we're doing this.
Then we're gonna find out.
Can we spend?
Oh, you don't understand how little shame I have.
Yeah. Okay. I have one thing. I will not read Twilight or any of that trash.
No, I said Harlequin romance novels, not fake vampire nonsense.
Yeah, because vampires don't sparkle. And two,
sparkly vampires is some serious nonsense.
Can we spend at least a third of the episode critiquing the cover art of the shirtless guy with long hair posing?
Well, first
I feel personally attacked as a guy who can't have long hair.
I think we're gonna find out the whole time that Brian's been actually the cover model.
I kind of feel
these books.
I feel attacked here.
If
I'm the guy with the longest hair.
If you've ever hung out with Brian and his lovely partner Victoria and seen the phone go off when he calls, he was definitely one of those models.
Oh my god.
Oh boy. All right, we're gonna have to do the backstory on Fabio in a minute.
Yeah, I always tell her to get rid of that picture, but she refuses to.
Whatever, bud.
Well, now I'm gonna have to see. So you put that in the group chat. Post that on Discord later, because I'm sure all of the listeners would like to see that. So if you want to see Brian as the cover art for a Harlequin romance novel, make sure you join our Discord server.
I'm thinking like Seinfeld Costanza on the couch.
Come and talk crap with everybody on the Discord.
Yeah.
No, it's
more tasteful.
It's interesting.
Brian
Yeah,
was
it's tasteful, you can say that.
Don't paint me like another one of your whores.
Oh boy. Oh boy. Well, let's people have moved around since we started the show, so I'm gonna start with Ian because Ian's who's in the middle in the Brady Bunch? I guess it was just the title card.
Well, we could just say
No,
that
no,
the
that
monkey
was,
and the
Alice.
would start with Ian. Yeah.
That was the maid.
Yeah, Alice.
Or I don't know.
All right, perfect. So Ian's beginning
correct.
cleanup duty. Let's start with Ian. Where can everyone find you if they haven't got enough of your witty banter this evening?
Well, I guess on Sunday evenings, we haven't changed our time yet, 9 p.m. Eastern. You can find us on YouTube and the Facebooks. We are on Canadian Prepper Podcast. Not talking the government so much, but I guess planning for their government's follies.
Inevitable demise.
Yeah.
Hopefully.
Fingers crossed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Whatever I can do to speed that along, allegedly, with due process in Minecraft. Gavin, where can everybody find you when you're not on your phone?
Well, the easiest place to find me is on Instagram, Urbix GTA. But you can also probably find me at the Sportsman Show this weekend, visiting some friends, and then at that class I talked about, and some other places at some point in time in the future, if and when the government allows us.
Good man. Pierre, if people want a shirt,
Off the wall customizing at Gmail, Instagram. We said fuck it to Facebook and we took it off.
all right.
Yeah, there. Or if you watch the show live, it's got my personal thing right here, but I don't use that shit for anything. But it's there on Instagram.
How many social media accounts does your wife set up for you?
All
Yes.
of them.
Yeah, we're
Good
on
man.
Clapper, which I think I still have 2 weeks of penicillin for. We're on Thickety Talk. I don't know, whatever. Yeah, email, it'll maybe be me, but 95% positive it will be her. And we pretty much think the same. So yeah, you'll get what you want. If you want something, email us. We'll make it happen.
Good stuff.
Even
Brian, are you-
even if you're a liberal.
Oh.
I don't know.
Hey, 20
Brian,
bucks
have
is
you
20
got
bucks, buddy.
the social media?
Well, when I'm not posing for GQ shots, you guys can get me on the Strava Club or Discord, or you can find me at probably the Sportsman Show, and probably at one of the rucks coming up.
Nice.
That's about it.
My whole screen got rearranged. I don't know what happened, but we're gonna go to Liz because Liz moved, so Liz is over there now.
I don't pay too much attention to social media, but I do have Instagram and Facebook. Liz_Fawcett 9876. Really creative.
All right. Dave, if people want to shoot PR, how do they lose to us?
March 5th for starters. Show up and lose. Sorry, 6th. Yeah, I got to
March 5th, show up. We won't be there. You'll definitely lose.
yeah. Show up on the 6th, Friday.
I think I figured out Dave's winning strategy.
Yeah, May 6th. First day is May 6th. I just sent out an email to the Ori Precision group of peoples.
Do you have to be an ORA member to lose at an ORA match to our...
I don't give a shit this year. Anybody can show up.
Excellent. So anyone can lose to us because Dave and I shoot as a pair.
That's right. So if we do get on board, and I'll use those as intro to PR days. And again, everyone will be welcome to those because those will be like I want the newbies coming because I want to introduce you to the sport so you understand how it works. So then you won't be afraid of coming to a match.
So if you're in Southern Ontario and you can take a small amount of ribbing.
Yes. And have a rifle that can shoot 1 MOA. That is magazine fed.
Whole MOA?
Come on down. Well, yeah, that gets
Shouldn't you want a rifle that shoots less than that, Dave?
I'm no barriers for entry. 1 MOA is the
one
barrier.
MOA.
How big does the magazine
or
have
one
to be?
MOA with the
Well,
person
so
behind the rifle?
I want to argue with Dave slightly because the first, 2-3 years that I shot PR with the ORA, I had a 700 blind mag, and that's great. I could put a couple of rounds in that between matches, but once we start going, I would just single loading.
Oh yeah.
It wasn't great, but
No,
It was
like I said,
doable.
MagFed is. You're gonna want to go
Ideal.
MagFed.
Yeah, I'm not discounting that.
I tried
But
it not MagFed, and honestly, you can pretty much turn any stock into MagFed with like the $65 kit from I think what is it, Wolverine or whatever. It gives you the just change out the bottom, changes out your
Fuck
bottom
you,
metal
Dave.
bit.
I'm
Except an
running my
AICS magazine.
SKS with stripper clips.
That is fine. And when you're sucking
Bayonet
ass at
out.
600, bayonets are accepted. We don't judge.
I guess the SKS has like that leaf sight. You could set it for 600, right?
Yeah. Doesn't it go to 12?
I mean, I'd like to
Oh,
see
yeah.
a 7.62 by 39 get to 600, but
It'll get there. It just might not hit your target backer.
well, you're going to be lobbing them at that point, so you're going to be more of a artillery piece.
There's nothing wrong with a Hail Mary from time to time,
It's
buddy.
true.
A hole on paper is a hole on paper.
That's it.
That's all
And
I'm
then-
saying.
Might not
As a-
be your paper, but
Sounds
it's
like
paper.
Gavin's advice for college dating, but moving on.
Also at the sportsman show that I will be attending this weekend with Andrew, there should be a new rifle on display as well. That's going to be freshly back from Red Tower Armory with a brand new coating.
Be sure to go and eat chicken wings or ribs first, and then come and see Dave's rifle and put your greasy, dirty fingers
If you want to get
all over it.
if you want to get butt stocked in the head, then yes, come to the booth and do that.
Right, so
I will
Dave
have
is
no qualms about hitting you and
publicly
going to
threatening
jail.
violence.
Yeah,
That's
I will
Morrison
go to
trip
jail.
Ontario.
I will go to jail over this rifle.
okay.
It's been
No,
2 years in the
chicken
making.
wings.
Ontario.
Statements have been made. Benny,
We did-
where can
we
everybody
did-
find you?
World of pain.
Find me at bayless.ca.
All right.
You did say
Last
he,
but
right?
not, I did. Last but not least,
Sorry, Benny.
Peter. I'm going towards. Oh no, we started with Ian. I don't know. I wasn't going west to east. I'm not.
I got
Everything's moved
lost.
around on my screen. Peter, where can everybody find you?
Mostly on the Discord or Instagram and Twitter at the Moran Life,
All right.
if you can spell it.
I can spell
Skill
it.
testing question. If you're smart enough to figure it out, you can see it.
Apparently,
you-
we're not going to be friends on Instagram, buddy. I can't spell
If you've
it.
listened to this entire 90 minutes, you deserve a discount code. When you're shopping at Ragnarok Tactical, use the discount code Patriot at checkout. Literally take money out of my child's college fund.
But also use the affiliate link and put it in the diaper fund.
And give me a cock rocket. No, a diaper fund. That works too.
Yeah.
If you want to send us feedback, which I would love to read on the show,
Oh,
feedback at
it's been so
CanadianPatriotPodcast.com.
So
Let us know what you think. I would say iTunes, but I don't check the iTunes reviews anymore, so whatever. Leave us a 5-star review or don't. Whatever. I do need to apologize to Rod, as you can see and or hear, because this is a podcast and you're likely hearing it, although maybe you're watching on Monday nights, not at 9 p.m. anymore. We've moved the show up to 8:30, and we have a very, very full panel this evening. Rod had other engagements around dinner time his time, and he did not want to miss that early bird special. So we'll try to get Rod on next week.
One day, Rod. One day.
Well, the time changes. The time change is rough for our West Coast participants, and I appreciate that.
But we also did the 8:30 thing, so it ends up at the top of the hour for the Newfoundland people, so they don't feel left out.
That's right. We're trying to include the Newfies.
Top of the hour. What?
Laird, Tundra, and Jesus, bye.
You lost me, mate.
They have a weird half-hour time zone shift, Dave. Learn
Really?
your
I
learn the
did not
country
know that.
you live in.
Yeah,
I mean, we
you
don't care
do?
about them. They vote liberal anyways, so I don't really focus.
No.
Only
No,
two,
they're-
only
they're-
two
so
jurisdictions in North America do
When
the
you go
half-hour
to
thing.
New Brunswick, Nova
Newfoundland and
Scotia, it's
Venezuela.
an hour from Ontario.
Yeah, it's an hour.
to
I'm well
Quebec.
aware of that. Yeah,
No,
I'm well
no,
aware of
But
that.
when you get to Newfoundland, it's only a half hour.
Because we only
Yeah.
kind of half care about them. Okay, got it.
That's a tough association, Ian.
Yeah, like it's the weirdest shit in the world. But
For
I don't know.
all of our listeners out there in podcast land, I'd like to remind you that you are a small fringe minority with unacceptable views.
It's true.